I had a fisherman that taught me more in one sentence than I learned like in a year of streamer fishing on my own. He had this horrible fly on. It wasn't this beautiful thing that was, whatever. But he made the cast, and this fish blew up behind us on the other side of the boat. So he turns around, throws a fly over there, hangs the fish, proceeds to land this 26-inch brown. Um, and he looks at me and he said, "Man, that fish would have eaten a Snickers bar if I threw it over there."
That was Brian Weiss sharing some good advice of why your fly is not really critical. This coming from a streamer, fly tying YouTuber. This is the Wet Fly Swing Fly Fishing Show.
Welcome to the Wet Fly Swing Fly Fishing Show, where you discover tips, tricks, and tools from the leading names in fly fishing today. We'll help you on your fly fishing journey with classic stories covering steelhead fishing, fly tying, and much more.
Hey, how's it going today? Thanks for stopping by the Fly Fishing Show. If you get a chance, please subscribe and share this episode with one other person that needs some tips on streamers. Brian Wise is on to share some big tips on tying and fishing streamers. Brian has an amazing fly tying channel where he speeds up the learning curve for streamers. We find out how Cake shaped one of his early videos, which sinking lines you need for getting down to the fish, and how to find the best habitat and the biggest fish. Stay tuned till the end of this one when Josh Clausen reads a poem about brook trout from the recent edition of the Fly Fishing and Tying Journal. Before we get started, I wanted to take a moment to thank our sponsors. We've got a great new sponsor for the podcast with some very comfortable products. SoFly Gear, headed up by 17-year-old James Carlin of the U.S. Youth Fly Fishing Team, has a buttery soft, quick-drying line that I have been loving. Head over to SoFlyGear.com and support James and the podcast. The Fly Fishing and Tying Journal has an exceptional fall edition out right now. Head over to FTJangler.com to support the great work Craig and the gang have created just for you. That's FTJangler.com. So without further ado, here's Brian Wise from FlyFishingTheOzarks.com. How's it going, Brian?
Good. How are you?
Good. Good to have you on here. We're going to dig into a few things. It's kind of interesting because we're going into, I break these things out into seasons, and we're kind of going into a dry fly season. But the cool thing is on my show, I'm pretty flexible, so I like to mix it up. But I always get great guests that come on that maybe aren't in line with the season, and I love to have them on because you are a big name. Especially in the streamer game, people love your videos. So we're going to talk about all the videos you have going, but can you start us off back to how you first got into fly fishing and then how you brought it to where you are today?
Oh, sure, yeah. No, I love how you lead in with kind of getting into a dry fly time of year, and then I just come in with a big boom, and we're just going to talk streamers.
Exactly.
But no, I got into fly fishing. What most people would probably call late in life. I was not one of those people that grew up fly fishing. I don't have this big romantic story about how I picked up a fly rod at 5 years old.
Yeah,
that type of thing. I'm a late in life guy. I actually kind of grew up fishing a little bit, but I grew up more of an athlete. I was playing basketball and baseball every month of the year. So that's what I did, and then I played competitive ball, and then I blew my knee out right before college, and things kind of went downhill from there with the sports.
Oh, wow.
So I had to find something to do, and that's when fishing started. I spin fished, which around where I am, there lakes and rivers. There are so many lakes and rivers and different species that it's absolutely crazy. So I spin fished really hard for about a year, and then actually got bored with it because it just seemed like the same thing over and over and over. And then enter fly fishing, and it just took over from there. I was about, I was maybe 20 when I started fly fishing. So no, kind of an old man by then.
Exactly. I've heard that number. It's we've heard tons of stories, obviously here, and I've actually heard right around that range, the number of people that have, they were doing whatever, and then right around 20 or somewhere in there, they kind of switched and it clicked and they went all in on it. And for you, so now where are you at now, and where were you when you first got into fly fishing?
Well, I'm pretty much in the same spot that I was whenever I started fly fishing. I'm in what would be probably called extreme southern Missouri. It's basically, I could almost throw a rock to the Arkansas state line.
Oh, wow.
So, but one of the things around here is, we're from Missouri. Those Arkansas people are totally different.
Yeah, right.
It's with the White River being, 30 miles away from me. I've got obviously a whole bunch of buddies that are from Arkansas, and I throw that out there every chance I get.
Yeah.
So, but no, I kind of extreme south central Missouri, very northern Arkansas. That's kind of my area.
Okay.
Kind of what would probably be called the northern part of the Ozarks.
Okay.
That's kind of where I am.
Gotcha. And so your home river would be, what do you consider your home river?
My home river is hands down the North Fork of the White River. It's you kind of think of the White River as a chain, and we are on the upstream side of the lakes. So like the White River and the North Fork River in Arkansas are tailwaters. So this river is a freestone above the lake of that, and it's a totally different beast. Like it's known more for like wild rainbows. They haven't stocked rainbows since like the mid '60s or something like that. So extreme southern Missouri has a completely freestanding strain of rainbows that they haven't touched in years. It's kind of an anomaly. It's very, very cool. Very, very cool. But it has big, huge brown trout in it too. So.
Yeah, it's got brown. So okay, yeah, and I wanted to get to the. I always like to hear the basketball story. We've had a few basketball guests, and basketball was my sport, and baseball, but especially basketball. And so now, in what position were you playing?
I'm a little bitty dude. I'm about 5'8".
Yep.
And so I was a guard. I was a total guard, but then in baseball I was a catcher.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and baseball was probably my better sport. But I blew my knee out in basketball, of course.
Yeah.
So I was being scouted as a catcher.
No kidding.
And then you blow your knee out in basketball when they start asking for medical transcripts to see if you're going to play ball in college and you're a catcher that blew their knee out. It's kind of like, yeah, we'll call you, don't call us.
Yeah, that's not good. It's already bad enough you're out behind the plate bending your knees all the time, right? That's pretty tough on the knees as a catcher.
Exactly.
Yeah, no kidding. So what did that? I mean, you take us to that moment. So I mean, you're thinking probably like major leagues stuff like that, right? I mean, you got big dreams, and then you blow your knee out. I mean, take us to that moment. What's that feel like? How do you recover
right?
From that?
I always like to say that basketball was my better sport. There are two things I could do on a baseball was my better sport. There are two things I could do on a basketball court. I could run and I could jump. I had like this ridiculously freak show vertical.
Oh wow! So could you dunk?
Yeah,
you could dunk at 5'8".
I was 5'8". I was like Spud Webb.
Wow! So you had like a 40. You had like a 40-inch vertical or something.
Yeah, I was north of 40. I was more like 44.
Damn.
I know. It was ridiculous. I was kind of that freak show that people, but I couldn't do anything else.
Well, that's enough, man. I'll tell you what, if you're 5'8", and you're white and you're ducking, that's enough.
But it was, so when I blew my knee out, basically what the deal was I could jump. I had too much power. And whenever I jumped once, it just literally, it just blew it apart. It was like I'm really, really lucky to be able to do what I do now.
Yeah.
In all seriousness. So it was like I had immediate surgery. It wasn't like CL and stuff like that. And I had surgery that night.
Damn.
And then basically had reconstruction reconstructive surgery as a teenager,
Oh,
and was told, you're never gonna play ball again and
yeah.
stuff like that. And I actually came back and played everything. I missed 1 year, so
Oh, wow.
it's the only thing that helped me keep getting scouted was I came back so quick. But then, I had verbal commitments and stuff like that, and literally they said, we start off with a verbal, then we go to signing day and stuff like that. And I visited these colleges and stuff like that, and everything was good to go. And as a teenager, I didn't even think,
Yeah.
oh, they're going to see my medical transcripts. And then I'll never forget, head coach came in and talked to me, and he was like, "Hey, great, this is good." And then trainer came in, and he was like, "Hey, all we need to do is get your medical transcripts, and we're done." And I
Oh,
was like,
wow.
"Great, let's do this." And then, then I got a
Wow.
call.
Was that for baseball or basketball?
That was baseball.
And what
Yeah,
college
that
was that?
I had Missouri Southern,
Yeah.
a little college called C of O, and SEMO,
Oh, wow.
Southeast Missouri.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Missouri, because that's a big baseball. I mean, I know Missouri Southern. I think that's the name I've heard about, right? You get
yeah,
pretty big baseball down there. Yeah.
yeah, good in the NAIA
Oh,
side of things now.
yeah, exactly.
And it was a great school then. It's a great school now. I ended up not going to any of those schools. I was just mad at
Yeah.
them.
Totally. I can imagine.
But no, it turned out, in all seriousness, if I didn't blow my knee out, I think there's a 0% chance that I'd be fly fishing right now.
No kidding.
Like zero. I don't see how in the world I would have ever gotten into it, because it was so far out of, what it was so far out of my realm. Like, it wasn't even close. Like, the outdoors and stuff like that. The only part of the outdoors was, when I was playing ball. And running.
Yeah.
I was kind of a runner. It was just kind of like I just didn't do that stuff. So, everything happens for a reason. I'm a firm believer in it, and yeah, that's
what was it about fly fishing when you first? You spin fish for a year or so. What, like in fly fishing, what triggered it? Why did you go so all in on? What was it? Is there one thing that sticks out to you? Because the YouTube channel we're going to talk about in a little bit, you've created a pretty amazing YouTube channel and gone all in there. But I'm curious to hear how what triggered it for you.
Well, I would like to say I don't want to get like all mushy and in my field. But it really, I think the vast majority of it was like I got pretty solid at spin fishing, like really, really quickly. But then my mind kept thinking, okay, I can go catch fish anywhere with a spinning rod or gear, and do just about anything I want to do, but there's got to be more to it than that.
Yeah.
Why is it so easy? And then I started fly fishing, and I had a buddy that whenever I was growing up, he was the only person I ever saw with a fly rod. Actually, we were on a creek just kind of swimming, and he brought a fly rod, and I was like, I remember being like, "Why are you just waving that thing around? Aren't you going to fish?" I'll never forget it. But he was the only person I had even seen do it.
Wow.
But I knew it was something that was, I figured there was more to it, more involved in fly fishing than there was spin fishing. Like I know there are a lot of nuances with both, but I'll still stand firm on this. And there's a lot more to learn on the fly fishing side of things. And I think that's what intrigued me the most about it. It wasn't easy. I had to have I had to have something that was just outside of reach, that goal that was just outside of reach. And in spin fishing, I found that goal really quick, and then I just kind of plateaued. Where fly fishing, gosh, I don't think I've plateaued on anything in fly fishing. So that was most of it.
You basically got bored. I mean, and I've heard that, a number of times where people start spin fishing and then they we've talked a lot about, with steelhead fishing where you kind of nail it and it's like you're just catching a bunch of steelhead and then you're like, okay, what's the next harder thing? And you're kind of doing the same thing. That makes sense.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
so yeah, so you dug in. We mentioned the YouTube channel. Let's just start off with the YouTube channel. How did you, get the idea to start this channel? And can you just describe it to maybe somebody who hasn't seen it yet? Because it is pretty unique the way you do. You got the music mixed in, and sometimes you don't talk, and you have you fast forward through things. It's pretty sweet. So describe your channel to somebody new.
Okay, so I guide. So that's it. It all basically kind of started. YouTube was pretty new, like fairly new. It wasn't like a big, huge thing. Whenever actually Vimeo was bigger than
Yeah.
YouTube for people that took it serious back then, and but I wanted to I wanted to market my little guiding business more. And it was like I was thinking, this is 2000. Gosh, this is 2005 maybe, somewhere around there. It was a little while back, and you know, video for professional video equipment, it was like crazy expensive. But then they started like selling these little point and shoot cameras that were actually really solid, like for stills and stuff like that. So I got into photography, and I started off making slideshows actually of just like pictures and little tiny short clips here of really bad video, and setting them to music and did that. And then the channel that everybody kind of knows now, really kind of kicked in when I was getting ready to do a muskie fishing trip. Me and some buddies were going to go to Wisconsin and do some muskie fishing. And I knew that we were going to do a video while we were gone because we had some capabilities there. And so as like a teaser for it, I sat down and tied a big muskie fly. And it took me like 30 minutes to tie.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is ridiculous. Nobody's going to watch a 30-minute video on somebody spinning thread around a hook.
Yeah.
You know? So what I did was I sped it all up. It was all one take. I do it totally different now, but it was all one take. I sped it up to where it was like maybe a 5-minute video, and I set it to cake.
Oh yeah.
The distance.
Nice.
So it just kind of made sense,
Yeah. Back in the time when you didn't have to worry about royalties, right? You could just
exactly.
Yeah. Is that still out there? Could you still find that?
It's still the music is gone because of certain things, right? Well, because of once you hit a certain point on YouTube, like if you don't have any subscribers, there are no copyright issues. They'll say, hey, yeah, you can keep this copyright, but it doesn't matter because you don't have enough subscribers.
Oh, how many do you need before you have to get locked down?
It's just like 1,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's 1,000 or 5,000. It's something like that. But so yeah, after I hit that, they went through all my videos and said, okay, you got to fix this, and this. So it's one of those that's still out there, but it's totally different music.
Gotcha. So if you watch, I'll find a link. I'll put a link in the show notes to it. But if you listen to it now, would it be not quite as good as the cake video or the cake?
Oh no, it was nowhere. It'll be nowhere near as good as the cake video because it was so good. It was. I know, but that song just did. It was just so perfect.
So how do you do it now? How do you do it now? With you had that perfect cake. So now you got these great. How do you find the right music now? Do you still add music to your videos usually?
Yes. So yeah, all my videos have music. Very very little talking. Like actually, if I talk, it's when I'm giving myself crap usually.
Yeah.
Like if I break my thread or if I, just if I stab my finger with a hook point, something like that. It's just one of those things. And for some reason, it's people love when I mess up. It's just like and it's so easy to just cut that out. But
Yeah.
instead of cutting it out, why not just give myself a little bit of crap
Hmm.
and leave it in there and let other people give me crap too. So, which they love to do. It's great.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that is, it's interesting. I think about the music thing because it's, I think that probably is a struggle for a lot of people that want to do something similar, but where do you get this? So do you have a certain place? Do you have any recommendations on where people can find music? Are you making your own or what are you doing there?
Oh, I wish I could make my own. I have zero talent there.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, in all seriousness, in a perfect world, those people that are doing that are the ones that are just on the level they need to be
Oh
on.
yeah.
It's crazy. But I have like 5 or 6 sites that I really look at. I think 4 of them are like a subscription based thing. So
Oh, gotcha.
whenever you
Yep.
know what I mean, it kind of hits that point where
Yeah.
you have to start buying
Yeah.
music.
You just got to pay.
And
Yeah.
yeah, you just have to do it.
So,
So it's at that point now, to where I have to do that and then go from there, because even like certain copyright free sites that are free sites, I'll still get dinged on
yeah.
a copyright claim every once in a while, or it'll be like a really good video and like 5 years later I'll get dinged on a copyright. And it's like,
Gotcha.
so yeah,
So,
because it's just like podcasts, YouTube is there,
yeah.
so I still have I still have videos that came out, say, 8 years ago, that are still getting several thousand views a month.
Uh-huh.
And it's there for good. It's
Oh
not
yeah.
like regular television. It's so much
No,
fun.
it's not going away.
No,
You
never.
kind of you kind of build on it. Well, I want to talk. You mentioned the speeding it up. How you first that was the video that really triggered what a lot of what you do now. And I think you kind of speed through stuff that maybe is the stuff everybody knows and maybe is the boring stuff. Can you talk about as far as maybe some tips and if we talk about fly tying tips, and you tie a lot of streamers, but what's the stuff that you don't, is there stuff that you stop that you don't fast forward through, that stuff like somebody can actually learn? Talk about that. How could somebody, if they come on yours and they want to learn some tips on what you do you break it down and slow things down for people?
Yeah, there are some things that I this may sound a little bad, but the whole reason I kind of started um doing my style of videos. I say my style of videos. It's not really my style. The reason I started speeding up the videos was because I didn't want to. I didn't want to. I hated listening to somebody tie a fly.
Yeah.
I found myself, zipping through the parts where it's like, okay, everybody knows how to wind thread on a hook. I don't
Yep.
need to know that part. And say I already know how to stack a marabou tail. I already know how to do that, so I can just buzz through that, get to the next part. So I found myself doing that, but when I get to a very important part of the fly that I consider being very important, typically it's like per fly. So like all these streamers, and I hate to kind of bounce around, but um I've only done one video that's my actual fly.
Mm.
So um I've been lucky enough to, what I do is, I'm a wedding singer.
Yep.
Um so so I'm like a cover band for streamer fly tires.
Mm-hmm.
So like you have Gallup and Rich Strolis and Mike Schmidt and Andreas Anderson, and we just this plethora of these insanely talented fly designers. So what I do is I take their flies and do a video on their flies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, um so that's how I do it. So, but every fly has something that makes it stand out or be a little different, that I think is very important. So whenever I come to one of those steps, I might stop the video and say, okay, wait. This is when you need to pay attention, and I'll do it slow and I don't want to say I'll walk through it, because streamer tying, the type of streamer tying that I lean toward, which is the articulated slide, that big stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it's usually not for somebody that's brand new to fly tying
No.
anyway. So I kind of cater to those intermediate and advanced tires that have that stuff on the streamer tying videos.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I did start a whole new series. Oh, it's been several months ago now. I That kind of snuck up on me.
Hmm.
Maybe about a year,
Hmm.
but that is just tips.
Yeah.
I'll sit down and do, and it's actually I talk through it.
Oh, okay. So you have a whole. I'll put a link to that. So you have a video, like a playlist that's just fly tying tips.
Exactly,
And
exactly, and it's
Gotcha.
and it's totally different. And what I kind of realized was that, okay, there are some people um, that can learn something from this stuff, and uh, but I will never be one of those guys that's going to be mundane, just kind of boring.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I'll never be that way. So I think I kind of have a cool way of teaching, that's gonna keep you
Hmm.
interested. Like one of my I did one very recently on rabbit strips. Okay, so it's like,
A tips video.
yeah,
Yeah.
just rabbit strips, just how to tie with rabbit strips, what to do with them, the different things. But I want to show you something that you maybe never seen before. That's my whole goal. Even if somebody that's been tying for 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
if I can show them one thing and show somebody that's brand new like 3 or 4 things, then that's a total win. That's a perfect video.
Yeah.
So, but then I need to entertain them a little bit too. So that's ultimate goal.
Yep.
Show beginners something or several things. Show somebody that's been tying for a long time something, and then entertain them while I'm at it, and and we win.
Yeah, yeah. I've said this before, the 3 E's, and this goes with podcasting and probably goes with YouTube or anything, but the entertain, educate, you said, and the other one is the emotion. And I think, if you have at least 2 of those 3, you probably have a successful, podcast or video, right? And,
Really well put. Yeah.
And so I'm sure you get a little of the emotion as well there. Hey, I would like to go on, the rabbit strips and the tips you talked about. Maybe we can go down and break down some of those videos and just talk maybe a top 10 tips, or maybe some of the videos you've gone through to talk about. Maybe if somebody wanted some streamer tips, I know fly tying is not an easy thing to do, but at least we can highlight it. Could we do something like that?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Also,
yeah, how'd you break those down? How the videos? Is there like a bunch of them, or are there just certain specific types? Do you go in on rabbit strips, or how are they focused?
the fly tying tips videos are not streamer specific. So
Oh, cool.
so my channel was kind of known as, oh, he's that streamer guy.
Yep.
But then I did this tying tips series, and I knew right off the bat that I didn't want to only do like tips that would only help you on streamers. I wanted to cover. Typically, what I wanted to do was cover materials. It's typically not like a technique or something like that. So I did like a deep dive on marabou. I did a deep dive like on EP fibers. Just different things. I can't remember all of them.
Yeah. So there's a bunch.
Yeah, there's a few. So what I would do is I'll break down for like little tiny tips, for like on the marabou. One of the biggest comments I got, or the most comments I got about the marabou tip video, was like whenever you tie in marabou and you cut it off, like when you cut marabou. The biggest tip that I gave that people just went crazy over was you spin the stem really, really tight and then cut it. And it's this tiny little ball of marabou right on the hook that's left. You don't have this big, huge fluff of marabou.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's just that little stuff.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
And that's when I just kind of I decided to let it roll.
Yeah.
I've got a book that is kind of I call myself, it's kind of like my, um, oh shoot, the Adam Sandler movie
Oh,
with the football player.
oh, when he was the
Uh,
football player.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
shoot,
What was that one called? Damn.
it'll be a good one, and we can work through this
Yeah,
because
we'll get it.
it'll lead
We'll get it.
to stuff. Uh, the Water Boy.
Oh,
Okay, yeah,
Waterboy. Yeah.
yeah, okay. So I have this book that is kind of my playbook. I kind of call it like the how Coach Klein on The
Yep.
Water Boy, on Adam Sandler's The Water Boy. It's like it's my Coach Klein book, and I've got all this stuff. It's like it's I've got all this stuff written down, and this is as close as I had come to like um having any kind of format in my videos at all.
Yeah.
So I have direction and stuff like that. And I'll go to Instagram and ask like my followers on Instagram, hey, I'm getting ready to do a such and such tips video. What would you like to see? And then help have them be a part of it and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. It's a lot of fun. I haven't seen a lot of YouTube channels that do like tips like that. Some of them are either very long or very short, or something like that. And I don't want to go too far. Like I did a deer hair video that was kind of long. I think it was 18 minutes, and I'm sitting there like, no, people are never going to watch this video. But they went crazy.
Mm,
So
yeah.
I just it totally YouTube has totally changed from even just a couple years ago. That whenever everybody was shooting for that, that 4-minute video, that everybody wanted a 4-minute video. You go over 4 minutes and nobody watches. It's totally different now, especially in COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in
Exactly.
COVID times.
Let's take it to the fishing, and because you're guiding, which I didn't even really realize. So, let's jump into that a little bit. And we're talking. You mentioned earlier the North Fork of the White River. Is that the main river you guide on?
Yes, that's my bread and butter.
That's your bread and butter. And yeah, maybe just take us to the river and talk about how when you have your clients out there, how you get them into fish, and what's that look like?
Right on. Well, like I said earlier, the North Fork of the White is a freestone stream. It everybody hears White River and they automatically think that Arkansas,
Yeah,
big huge tailwater.
they do.
So this is a totally different beast. Most of the time, if I were to fly you with a blindfold to a spot on the North Fork of the White River in extreme southern Missouri, you would swear that you were on the South Platte in Colorado.
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, it looks exactly like it, runs exactly like it. The fish are exactly the same. It's very, very cool. So, you know, especially with like the YouTube stuff and everything that's kind of gone on, and how I've kind of been directed in this streamer direction. I have a lot of people that just want to go throw streamers with me. Um, and this river really, it's such a good river to learn how to really streamer fish, like for real streamer fish, because it's got everything. It's got big long holes that you can fish. It's got real quick stuff that you have to throw on the bank and strip off the bank, and so I get a lot of people that want to learn streamer fishing, and that's like my perfect day. If I could
Gotcha.
just describe my perfect day, give me somebody that can handle a rod, and we're talking 8 weights and sinking lines here.
Oh, wow.
We do not mess around. It's the real deal.
What sinking line? Maybe run through that real quick. What sinking lines are you using for a typical day out there?
Okay, so I with with streamer fishing, you're already kind of handicapping yourself.
Oh, yeah.
You are.
Are you using? I mean, how big are these flies you're typically using out there?
From 6 to 8, 9 inches.
Oh, wow. So
Somewhere.
gigantic. Yeah. So you're in the big. You're
Yeah,
not.
some
You're
of
not in the little streamer game. This is the big streamer game.
Right. Yeah, we are. basically every cast, you're looking for the biggest fish in your life.
And so there's a couple things that come. I mean, that right there, and I haven't done a ton of the big streamer game, really ever done any of that gigantic stuff, but it just sounds like an amazing thing. Even if you don't catch fish, just trying to literally trying to toss the thing out there. It sounds amazing. So yeah, take us to that. So I'm coming there. I can cast an 8-weight. I can throw this. I don't know if we're hucking, are we chucking and ducking and all that stuff, or what's that like? How far are you casting?
Okay, so most of the time, if people aren't super familiar with like the articulated streamer game, that's the first thing they think of is, oh, you're throwing like an 8-inch fly. That's got to be heavy, but
Yep.
They are weightless. Most of them that we are fishing are called swim flies. There's no weight to them. The only weight is in the hook. That's
amazing.
it.
And that's because of, describe that. How do you make a humongous 8-inch fly weightless?
So when you start talking big flies, most of the stuff that we are going to throw, it's a pretty long cast. Like you're going to cast quite a ways at any given point, 30 to 60, 70 feet. If you can pull it, I'll let you throw 70. But it's so different of a game than it was, say, 10 years ago, where we're talking, when you put a sink tip onto a floating line, and
Yep.
it was just this horrible thing.
Not good.
So now we have integrated sink tips that are beautiful to cast. They're super easy. Everybody that does this looks at me and they're like, I thought this was going to be way hard, and
Yeah.
it's not. So basically, we have these 7-inch, 8-inch flies that are built out of bucktail for the most part. And bucktail, what it does is makes a big profile, but there's no weight to it. Like it's not going to soak up a whole bunch of water like rabbit or marabou or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it gives this big profile, but very little weight. You can throw them like a dart. They're really, really nice.
What's an example, a name of a fly we can look at to see one of these?
A double deceiver. Just
double deceiver. Okay.
Yep. Just look up a double deceiver. That is, that's probably the go-to on, 70% of the time. Some kind of double deceiver.
And who tied that? Whose pattern is that?
Mike Schmidt is probably known most for it.
Yeah. But
it's in all seriousness, it's a lefty pattern.
Yeah, that's right.
Lefty decided.
Yep.
Yeah, he did the deceiver. It's probably like a Great Lakes style fly. So those Michigan guys and stuff like that are the ones that really started to make it big and what it is now.
Yeah.
So most people think of when you think of a double deceiver, it's probably that Mike Schmidt version of the double deceiver.
Yep.
And it's just a beast. It's awesome. Such a good fly.
That's cool.
So we're throwing that on probably on average, probably at least like a 30-foot head. So the sinking portion of the line is 30 feet long.
Mm-hmm.
So you can cast it short and still get it to sink, or you can still cast, that whole 70 feet and still get all the sink you need for the whole retrieve. So
Gotcha.
There's nothing hard about this. There's nothing heavy. The line is maybe a little bit heavy to get used to.
What is the line? If you had to say, if I wanted to go buy one right now, what would be a company or a line if I wanted to get it? What that you could use?
Well, I'm glad you asked because I didn't want to throw it out there myself.
Yeah.
I helped Cortland design their line of integrated streamer specific lines.
That's awesome. I was just talking to John and Brooks here this
Oh,
week. Yeah, we
nice.
were chatting. I'm gonna have Brooks come on here probably in a couple of months. So yeah, no, this is perfect timing. So yeah, so Cortland, and I love the Cortland story because, just briefly I'll tell you my Cortland. I've been in fly fishing a long time, and I remember when I was a kid, Cortland was one of the companies that I used a lot, right? And
Sure.
yeah, and they were great, and they've been around forever, but they kind of took a little bit of a. They kind of seemed like they disappeared, but they're back, right? They got new ownership, and
Yeah.
they're kind of back, and they got people like yourself doing good things. So yeah, so take us from there. So Cortland has a good streamer line that you helped design.
Right. Um, they, the way I look at streamer fishing is, you have to cover all of your bases. Like I kind of started to allude to earlier. You're you're handicapping yourself whenever you try to do this. As far as how many numbers you're going to fish, you're not patterning fish, quote unquote. Most people can go to a river and figure out a way to catch fish.
What is patterning? What is patterning? Or
So like if you're patterning fish, if you go to the river and you've got
patterning,
say
right?
you've got, right, if you got like the standard 9-foot 5-weight fly rod, you can go figure out a way to catch fish. Almost any time. I kind of feel like if you give me a 5-weight and put me on any river that has trout in it, I'm going to figure out a way to catch
an
fish.
Adams or an elk caddis or some whatever. Yeah.
Or swinging a wet fly,
yeah.
Just something nymphing. You're going to be able to do it. But when you decide to go to the river and you are going to put your head down and do the streamer fishing the way you need to do it to see the results that everybody's looking for, that fish of a lifetime, you have to leave the 5-weight at home. Leave it. Because everybody will want to use it as a crutch and try to start catching fish, because we're not looking for numbers. We're not looking for numbers at all. I am really happy on a day where we moved 2 fish that are north of 22, 23 inches and didn't even get them to eat. But you watch someone on the bow of a drift boat that has never moved a fish like that, and it's very visual. Like the style of fishing we do, you see everything that happens to the fly. You're sitting there watching it swim back to the boat all the time, and anything that happens to that fly, you have a bird's eye view of it. And I've seen guys go pale and sit down when they saw a fish explode on it. Like I thought I was going to lose a guy once.
No kidding.
I thought, and he was a young guy, but it was absolutely one of the craziest things I've ever seen in the whole fishing world. But that's what we're looking for. So, if you're wanting to do this right, you have to give yourself the best chance that you can, because you're telling the fish how you're going to catch them, which is not typically the way the world works in fishing. Typically we try to figure out the way the fish want to be caught. Whereas in streamer fishing, we're saying, no, we're going to throw this one big fly all day long and be happy if we don't catch anything.
Yeah.
So if when you go back into fly line, if you say, okay, I'm going to go to the river and the river's maybe a little bit higher than it normally is. So I have a fly line that needs to sink a little bit deeper now. So I have a totally different fly line for that day than I would maybe the next day that, the river may have dropped out or something like that. So they have sink rates on these fly lines that I talked about the first 30 feet of line being the sinking portion of the line. So sometimes they've got they've got some that are they're called intermediate lines, and they just kind of sink. They just kind of break the surface. They don't float, but they just kind of break the surface and kind of get down. Then they'll go to like a T3, which will sink about 3 inches per second.
Yeah.
And then they have a T6 and a T9. So whenever I go to the river myself, I don't even do spools anymore. I just have 3 reels that are set up all the time.
There you go.
I have a T3, a T6, and a T9 all the time.
Gotcha.
I will always have those in my boat. So the little things that you can control, um, which in streamer fishing is not a lot. There's not a lot you can control. But for a fact, if you're just fishing a certain fly that's just not getting down enough, it just doesn't seem like it's getting down. Switch to a new line, and then okay, you're better. You feel like your odds are better that way.
And now a quick word from our sponsor. Here you go. FTJ Angler has a great fall edition that's out right now. You can find Lucas Stevens, who visits Winston Fly Rods in the fall edition, for an insider look at and a rare interview with writer Ted Leeson, someone I hope to have on the podcast soon. Patrick Wall pays homage to Harry Lemire's tied-in-hand Atlantic salmon flies displayed in the Marguerite Salmon Museum. Boots Allen takes us to the pond with a masterclass in Stillwater. Dennis Dobble travels to Scotland in search of Atlantic salmon. Plus, FTJ Deputy Editor Henry Hughes with a mysterious fly fishing story, and Nora Etsy with her poem No Business, which I actually tried to read unsuccessfully a few podcasts ago. I'm not sure if you remember hearing that. So I'd love it if you could press pause right now, head over to ftjangler.com and subscribe so you get the next issue delivered right to your inbox. That's ftjangler.com. SoFlyGear.com, led by Chief Apparel Guru and U.S. Youth Fly Fishing All-Star James Carlin, has a clothing line you're going to love. SoFly's mission to produce clothes that look good, perform well, can be worn on and off the water, and most importantly, are manufactured under rigorously sustainable methods. How do they do it? Bamboo, in a single word, a fabric that is buttery soft to the touch, durable, sun-resistant, and embossed with original designs and artwork. I've been wearing the SoFly hoodie on my last couple of steelhead trips, and it's been a game changer. Whether hot or cold, wet or dry, I've been feeling perfect in pretty much all conditions. I haven't taken this thing off. I mean, it's been pretty awesome. So totally support SoFly here. If you're ready to up your apparel game with this lifestyle fly fishing gear brand, head over to SoFlyGear.com. That's SoFly gear.com to get started today. And like I said, I've been loving it. So pick up a hoodie and you'll be like me and you'll be good to go. Okay, back to the show. You're talking about the T3, T9, all that stuff, and that resonates. A lot of the people probably listening now, because we have a lot of steelhead anglers on here who know all about the T and the sinking lines, but how deep are you getting that? So if you're making a 50-foot cast, I guess it sounds like you're spotting fish, or you know where these fish are holding. How deep are you getting it down? And maybe talk about that when you make that cast.
Okay, so whenever we start to target fish, we're actually targeting areas. It's completely blind. We have no clue. Typically, if you see a big brown trout, you're not gonna, and you make casts to it, you're not gonna hook that fish. It's just not gonna happen. We are trying to get the instincts, like the predator side of a brown trout. We're trying to get those instincts sparked. So think muskie. I mean, basically, I've had so many people compare the type of fishing that we do to muskie fishing. The only difference is we don't do a figure eight.
No.
But I tell you what, there are times when I've seen brown trout act so musky-like that they'll come up to the side. And I row a 16-foot clacka, so it's not
okay.
It's not like a little tiny boat that's floating down the river. I've seen brown trout that are north of 24 inches eat within oar length of my boat. I could have hit them with the oar. So they have a predator mindset. They really do. So what we're doing is we're casting to the areas that are prime for predator brown trout to be able to ambush something. So, ideally there's a drop off, there's a change in the bottom structure, or there is some structure. There could be a lay down, a tree laying down, or a big clump of rocks, or just something like that. We're constantly scanning the bank for a change.
Okay.
Any kind of.
How do you find that when you're scanning the bank? How would you see a change in the bottom of the river? Is it clear enough you're seeing that, or are you just kind of guessing?
Sometimes it is, but one of the coolest things that I think that most people don't really think of whenever they go to a river is, um, however the bank that you can see is laying, typically that's the way it'll go into a river too. So if you have
Mm.
a flat bank
Yeah,
that
like a
is
sandy beach or something like that.
exactly like, typically it's going to be a lazy kind of like a gravel bar. If you have a
Yeah.
gravel bar, typically that's going to be boring water
Yep.
because
Yep.
it's going to be a gravel bar coming into the river. Whereas on the other side of the river, you may have like a sheer drop that is just like this bluff or something like that that's going into the river. It's going to typically do that as it goes down deeper into the river too.
Yeah.
So use your eyes, especially with a brand
Gotcha.
new river. If you've never been to a river, um, the bank you're actually looking at is a
Yeah.
great. Even if you can't see into the river, say the river's chocolate milk, the bank you're looking at will give you some kind of idea as to how it's going to lay as you get into the river.
Yep. That's a good
So,
tip.
uh, yeah, that's one of the biggest tips I can tell
Mm-hmm.
anybody. It's because so many people go to a river that they've never fished before and haven't had time to learn it. Where all the drop offs are and stuff like that. And if you can just read a bank, it tells you so much.
And that's why wood can be so cool, is that you see some large wood sticking out. There's scouring going around that. And I mean, do you find that browns really love to be around wood structures, or is that not a critical piece?
I think it kind of depends on the Browns.
Yeah.
If you go to Michigan, yeah, uh, yeah.
Mm.
Here, it's not so much. We don't. Well, number one, we don't have near as much of it. So I think it's an opportunistic type of thing. If there is a drop off, like in my area, we are limestone. Like we have long limestone rocks that are miles and miles long that
Hmm.
just have gravel on them. So every once in a while, you'll see limestone sticking out, and
Oh, wow.
that creates a drop off. And so any like drop off, any change in the river bottom is it seems so weird, and it is pretty generic to say that, but any change in the river bottom, even color, a change in color or density of rocks or something like that is going to change the structure of the bottom. Yeah, there's a reason there's a color change in the bottom,
Yep.
and it's not going to just magically change color with it being flat. you
Right.
know,
Right.
um, so I look for color changes and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
so when we are making these casts, um, ideally we want to have this comfort zone with how deep we want to get the fly. And it's never perfect, and it can never be perfect because like when you're nipping, if you're in a drift boat and you're nipping, you never have the exact perfect depth. You
Yeah.
can't. It's impossible. But if you're waiting, you can kind of figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
That if you're in one spot, you can kind of set your indicator to where you're ticking bottom the whole time and you're good to go. You just really can't do that streamer fishing because you have to keep moving. Because what we're doing is, um, we're making one cast to the bank, and
Okay.
these fish are so predator driven that I don't even think we're trying to feed them.
Yeah.
I've seen these fish do the craziest things, uh, but it's not like they were trying to eat it. They're just trying to kill it. It's a kill
Yeah.
thing. It's not a oh, I'm going to eat that. It's a
No.
no, I'm going to punch you right in your face.
Huh. That's cool. And so that's basically what you guys do. You're kind of working your way down. And are you anchoring up, or are you just kind of slowly drifting down and casting?
We never stop.
Oh,
The
you
only time
don't.
we
So
stop
gotcha.
is when we're going to stop for lunch or stop
Oh,
and have a
wow.
beer.
So what if you're coming down and you make a cast and you see a fish? How do you make more casts of that fish?
9 times out of 10, the way it's going to work is, uh, if you move a fish. So basically, it's the coolest thing. It's the coolest part of streamer fishing is you get to see it. So what happens is you've been casting for the last 2 hours and you've watched this fly swim back to the boat for 2 hours.
Hmm.
You know, then all of a sudden you make a cast and all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking like fish commit suicide to kill this fly.
Huh.
Sometimes coming out of the water to kill this fly. It's that, like I said, I keep going back to that predator instinct. If you haven't seen it, do whatever you can to at least see this happen in your lifetime, because it's the craziest thing. So if you get a big blow up on a bank, 9 times out of 10, that fish is done. If you don't hook that fish right then, you're done.
Yeah.
Just keep moving. Every once in a while, they might do it. So sometimes if you have 2 people in a drift boat and the guy in the front gets a big blow up, I yell at the guy in the back of the boat.
Make it.
The guy in the back of the boat, get the fly in the water, move the fly through there. Something happen. Typically, it doesn't happen. It's so you get 2 passes immediately, and it's
Gotcha.
9 times out of 10. That's it. Just keep moving.
Yep.
That fish blew up on it and expended a bunch of energy to do it, and they're done.
That's
They're
right.
done.
That's right. That's
So-
the energy. Okay. We're not going to get into the strip retreat. I'll like I noted, Kelly Galloup was on in a past episode. We talked about
Right.
different retreats. I've had a few different streamer guests on. So, but yeah, no, that was good. I love how you painted the picture there. Anything else we want to talk about? We kind of, I guess the drift boat, I mean, somebody go out to that area and just walk and wade and kind of do the same thing, find some of those fish. Is that doable?
It's kind of hard.
Yeah.
We're talking like medium-sized streams to very large streams.
Oh, okay. Yeah. These are big
So-
streams. Yep.
Sometimes you can, but we want water. That's kind of a big thing too. If it's like the White River, if they shut the water off out of the dam, we're not going to go throw streamers that day,
Gotcha.
because it's just not.
You need big
Yeah,
water.
we need water.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's harder. You can do it. So many people have private drift boats now, though.
Yeah.
People that do not guide have drift boats. They sell as many drift boats to people that do not guide as they do guides.
Yeah,
now.
no, I know, and it's cool. I want to give a shout out to you mentioned Clackacraft. I'm actually doing a little mini series. I'm calling it on drift boats. I'm doing a little history of drift boats. I'm a kind of a drift boat fanatic. I'm going to be interviewing some of the founders from all the companies, hopefully including Clackacraft and some of the other companies. So yeah, stay tuned. I'll put a link in the show notes for that as well.
Nice. I can't wait for that. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. It should be fun. I'm going to do a. Oh, the cool thing is the history. I think I don't know. That's the whole thing. I want to dig into exactly the history, because like the Mackenzie style boats and some of the prams, and then you had the whole, I'm not sure if you ever heard of Martin's boat. If you haven't heard of that, watch that YouTube video. It's called, I think it's called Martin's boat, but it's Martin Linton. He's a guy, he's an old timer who passed away, but he was a guy who rode the Grand Canyon in a drift boat. Yeah, and they were specially made. But watch the first minute of that video on YouTube, and you'll be like, "Holy crap! Now that's some whitewater." But yeah, I'm hoping to dig into that and hear how the whole history of how it all, how we got to where we are. Because now, I mean, you got Clacka, you got Hyde, I can think of a dozen drift boats that are all like amazing, right? I mean, there's a whole bunch of them, and so anyways, I just want to give a shout out to that, but. Yeah, I mean, I think obviously, like you said, we could dig into fly design for 2 hours here, but I'm trying to, I guess the topics here, we talked a little bit about the fishing, and maybe before we move on, is anything else just generally we want to hit on if somebody was going out there, if they say did have a drift boat, they wanted to follow some of your videos, tie some flies, and just go try the streamer game on their home river? Any other things you want to throw out there?
Oh yeah, this style of fishing will work anywhere. It's just all you have to do is it'll work for rainbows. It'll work for smallmouth.
Mm-hmm.
It'll work for largemouth. You can size up or size down.
Mm-hmm.
In the driftless, just going to the exact opposite. Like we have big rivers here, but if you go to the driftless, like they're small. But there are brown trout in there that are, for their rivers, they're big brown trout.
Yeah.
And I've gone up there with like a 6 weight and just sized my fly down a little bit and did the exact same thing I'm doing from a drift boat.
Yep.
Just keep moving, just pound the bank and keep moving. And oh my gosh, I had a ball. So I mean, it's very doable on any river,
Any stream.
especially rivers that have brown trout.
Gotcha. So pretty much any stream, you size it down. You're using 6, 8, 9-inch flies, but you could size it down, and I guess size it down to whatever size you want to. Give a shot on your stream, and then do kind of what we're talking about. Cast, find those areas you think are good, cast in, and the strip. Maybe just do a quick little on the retrieve. What do you think is the most common strip retrieve you do?
Yeah, it really depends on the fly.
Yeah.
I've actually had the conversation with Kelly about
that double deceiver. What if that was the pattern?
Okay. I'm a guy that I don't want the rod tip to move.
Oh, okay.
I want the rod tip either in the water or right at the water level and not moving. Because,
wow.
Yeah, I know.
So no, yeah, that's your Kelly Galloup. So no jerk strip or whatever.
So the only issue is not everybody is Kelly Galloup. I've been lucky enough to fish with Kelly. I know Kelly well. He's a great guy. I'm lucky enough to consider him a buddy.
Yeah.
And I love to I love to argue with him about
it.
Yeah. But not everybody's Kelly Galloup. Kelly has this ability to move the rod tip and keep it where it needs to be.
Right.
Where I've seen a lot of people come into my boat. Exactly. And if they start the jerk strip, they'll move the rod tip, and then the rod tip is almost behind them by the time they're done.
I can see that.
And I'm yelling at them. Stop. If you get an eat now, you're done. So I'm a guy that I put the rod tip in the water.
Yeah.
Put the rod tip in the water. And sometimes if you're in a drift boat and you're in deep water, even with your sinking line, I'm 6 eyes deep in the water of the rod.
Oh, wow.
I have as much the rod tip as I can deep into the water.
No kidding.
Yeah.
9-foot rod?
Yep. Yeah. 9 times. Most of the time, it's a 9-foot rod. So like if you're there, I'm a guy that's going to have a very sharp, quick strip. So we always talk about a strip strike, and we don't set the hook like a nymph fisherman or something like that, because that just most of the time that just totally messes you up. So what I do is, if I'm going to use a strip strike, why not just strip like that every single time? So it animates the fly really well. So what I tell most people is, you're going to strip about 15 to 18 inches, very, very, very sharp, like sharp. At the end of the day, your casting hand is not going to be tired. Your stripping hand should be tired. That's the kind of thing. So short and real quick strips. So it moves the fly really well. You get a great head shake, a great pause, because it gives it momentum, and then it dies. So once that momentum dies, the fly turns. That's
right.
Beautiful. So you have that short, quick strip, and then if you get an eat, it's just the same strip. So if you're doing it over and over and over, now it is, like I said, it's very visual. The eat is very visual, so it's nobody knows what's going to happen and how everybody's going to react whenever you get an eat. But ideally, you're just going to do that same strip, and everything's over, and you're fighting the fish. So that's where I tend to go. But you can change your cadence.
Sure.
That's the thing. You don't want to do that strip. It depends on the water you're in, depends on the structure that your fly is getting ready to swim to. A lot of times not stripping is the best thing you can do when you make a cast, because if you start stripping, you're going to strip away from all the good stuff. So sometimes strip and wait, and you see like a big rock coming, and your fly, because you can see your fly. You can see a rock coming. Let it swim to the rock, and then swim it around the rock.
Swim it around.
Yeah, you're constantly scanning, constantly looking. It all makes sense. It really does. I've never had somebody get in the boat and say, "This is totally opposite from anything I've ever done," because it's just fishy. You're just thinking fishy.
Yeah. No, it's cool. Well, like I said, we were not going to be able to cover it all. I wanted to bring us back to the YouTube channel as we kind of take it out of here. And it's funny because I've actually got Kelly coming back on here soon. We're gonna actually do a dry fly episode or something like that. We're not sure, but we kind of joked talking on email about all the. He said we're going to talk about some of the porn names again, because all are guys out there, are they still, because Kelly joked about that in the last one, are they still coming up with the crazy, is that still a thing, or what's the naming thing at now with the new streamers?
Yeah, I think it's slowed down a little bit because it's gotten pretty commercial.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? Even Kelly had
Yeah.
had to kind of pump the brakes on some of the names of his patterns, and they kind of shortened some of his names.
Oh, they did. So you right? Yeah. They shortened them. I gotcha.
So it's a little commercial. So some of the companies, and actually, Kelly's flies are with a lot of his flies are with Montana Fly Company, and I just had a pattern picked up for with MFC.
Oh, cool.
So my first commercial pattern is going to come out in 2021.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm excited.
What's that one? Can you talk about it?
It's called the Knucklehead. It's the way I kind of talk about fly patterns is if a new fly pattern doesn't fix a problem with another fly pattern or give it a different kind of swim that you're looking for, then it just becomes a novelty.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense. So I kind of designed this fly to be a keel fly, and it'll keel, like the hooks will always be up and down. Mm-hmm. It's not going to fall on its side. So it's got these foam, this kind of a foam head just on top, and they're little strips of foam. So it's like this gnarly looking foam stripped head that's kind of trimmed like a deer hair head. Mm-hmm. So I call it the Knucklehead. And it's pretty cool. But we're working out. We're actually just doing the fine tweaking now, and Montana Fly Company will have it. It'll be in fly shops in 2021. So,
that's cool.
Yeah.
And you're working and aren't you doing some stuff? I think you mentioned it when we were talking before on, is it the Fly Fishing Company? Maybe you can talk about some of the other companies you're working with and you're doing stuff with.
Right. So, since I started doing these videos, I've kind of gotten pretty good at putting a fly tying video together, and I can do it, get it knocked out, and have pretty good quality and stuff like that. So about a little over a year ago, I was approached by Fly Fishing Company to not totally take over their YouTube channel, but basically to do at least a single fly tying video per month. So which is the style that I do my channel in too. So and it's a little different than my streamer channel. They let me kind of do my own thing with it, but I do nymphs. I do I just did a mouse pattern. I've done like a flat wing and done some steelhead stuff and done some saltwater stuff. So it's, just covers the whole gamut. That Flyman's YouTube channel, we do everything, but I do speed some stuff up, but I do a lot more talking on their channel. So it's a little bit more maybe educational, with a little bit of even B-roll for like product whenever I show a product and stuff like that.
You had recently I saw the Flyman, the tester, right? Tester tank.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That was a Flyman. I watched that. That was so that's a new, what is that new fly tank they have, right?
Oh, yeah.
Which is pretty cool, actually, which is like a great, you always you hear a lot about the fly testers, but then, it's like, okay, here it is. You want to grab one, just go get your own. And what was that? Did you know the cost on that? I'm just curious.
$149. Yeah. It's under $150.
Yeah,
just under $150.
Just under $1. Yeah, so that's probably about right. Okay, and so you did a little bit of a promo, a little unboxing for them, right?
Yeah, I did a little unboxing. I had to have I have teenagers, so I had to have one of my teenagers be my stunt double, because I had to run the camera. So I did all this cool camera movement and stuff like this, and still made it look like it was me that I was unboxing.
Oh, right. Yeah, it was. That's right. That's good.
he had to wear the shirt. But I actually told him thank you in that video at some point.
Yeah,
But,
I saw that. I saw it. Is the unboxing, when you do those unboxings, do you send people, is it kind of like you get an affiliate link to send people to, or you get a commission, or how does that work? Or is that just a promo you're doing for working with them?
it's actually the whole unboxing thing kind of got started with the fly tying tips videos. I would randomly start getting stuff. I opened something at the beginning of the fly tying tip, a single fly tying tips
Gotcha.
video.
They just sent it to
And
you for free, yeah.
it was cool. So it was like this was actually like a fan. I say fan. I hate to.
Yeah.
God, that seems so weird, but they sent like a letter and then some stickers and then a fly to me.
Oh,
And I
cool.
was just like, oh, cool. I'll open this up while I'm on a tying tips video because I do some more talking and stuff like that. And then it just kind of went crazy. So I've got some stuff that I've got like a stack of stuff that I'm going to go through and like unbox. And I don't do anything like halfway. I I'm never going to be that guy that just opens a box and that I'm done. This is
Yeah.
it. This is what. So yeah, I end up getting myself into stuff that I'm like, how did I get myself into this?
Yeah. So,
And it's cool.
yeah. So basically, you just do. I mean, they gave you that, so you're just kind of doing to kind of promote their stuff, and yeah. It's a cool
Right.
product. You're not gonna open up a product that kind of sucks, right? It's gotta be decent.
Exactly. That's always because I've gotten stuff in the past and I've gotten offers for people to send stuff, um, and it was always with a caveat that we'd like you to make a video on this.
Yeah.
And I'll tell them send it, but there's no, if I don't like it, I'm not gonna do a video on it
No,
because I
that's
don't
the thing.
do a video where I dog something. I'm not
No.
gonna do that.
No,
That doesn't
no.
do anything good. And some people might like what they have. So if I put a video out saying this thing is just crap,
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
I just
No, I
don't want
know.
to do that. So
I know.
so I have some stuff that I may or may not do a video on. I know I've got 2 or 3 things right now that I'm definitely going to do a video on. I've got an anchor right now that is so awesome.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Is that the new anchor that doesn't get caught up? It's
Well, it's the tornado.
yeah, the
anchor.
tornado. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
I saw that.
It is real. It is. I mean, even if this being a drift boat guy,
Yeah.
Yourself,
Oh yeah.
if you get your hands on one of these things, it's
I'm
yeah,
gonna check it out. Our local fly shop was promoting one, and yeah, I'll definitely. I think maybe I don't think I've ever had to cut an anchor off, but I've had it stuck pretty bad
Right.
sometimes where it was. Yeah, I thought I was gonna have to. What do you use? Just curious on the oars. Your boat. What do you use for oars?
I'm a Sawyer guy.
Yeah, you're Sawyer. Like wood or composite or
Yeah. Yeah,
wood?
I'm on wood now, but I'll probably do like a hybrid next.
Yeah.
My God,
Sawyer makes some. I can't remember I used to have some smokers, but they make one that's my friend has. It's like counterbalance, so literally there's no weight on them when they're just. Yeah, I haven't used. I kind of yeah.
Yeah, I've got my eyes on those too.
Yeah.
I'm 100% sure that my next pair will be like that hybrid Sawyer that's counterbalanced, and it's just
that's what I'm going. I'm going for that for me partially, but mainly because my daughters they're like 6 and 8 right now, and they're just on the oars. So I want to get them something where they can actually row the boot.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think if I get those, I think they'll be able to like fast track them to rowing me down the river sooner than later.
I never even thought about that.
I know.
It really would help. So they don't have to lift and have the extra weight of pushing down and lifting, and that makes sense. My boys didn't get a chance to do that. I was on composite when they were little.
Me too. I still am. I know. I've got a cataract, some oars, and they're fine for me. I actually like them, but yeah, the wood oar, man, there's something about that thing bending, there's nothing like wood, and it bends in the water.
Right. Right.
And that's the cool thing I'm loving about the drift boat series. Again, not talking a lot about drift boats here, but the wood boats, right, is a really cool thing too, because I mean, when's the last time you saw a wood boat on your river?
Actually, it's
You see
kind
a
of
lot?
funny. I've got a buddy that built one. and it's a big, huge Mackenzie style, like high side
Yeah.
beast.
Wow.
Like it's not meant for around here at all.
Who's the company? Was it a kit project?
No, he made it himself.
Oh wow, he just created himself.
Do right. It
Damn.
was, and it's great. He's since moved on from that boat. He'll always have it, of course.
Yeah.
But he's since moved on. He went the exact opposite. He went to, we've got a company here that does river boats, the
Really?
big River John boats. You know, those 20-foot long boats that are skinny.
Oh yeah, so not drift boats.
No, but they started doing a skiff. They started building a skiff very recently, and it is phenomenal.
Really? How's a skiff different from a drift boat?
Technically, it's a drift boat, but it's not. It doesn't come to a point. It's more
it's flat on both ends.
Right, or pretty flat anyway. It's and they're kind of square stern and bow.
Gotcha.
But they've got rocker to them.
Oh, but so you could run some rapids if you had to.
Yeah, right. So you just can't run like much because like I run a low pro, so I can go over like a standing wave, you know, and let that bow slap down into water and not even worry about it. These, if you do that too hard on these, they'll take water over the front of them. So
gotcha.
Yeah, they're a little different, but they're really, really nice. But we just don't have that much of that kind of water around here, so we don't really have to worry about it.
You don't worry
we have to worry about wind.
So, right. And there's the clack. The clack does good with the wind.
Well, the skiffs do really good with the wind because there's just no footprint above the water. It's just short. It's just they're really, really nice. But,
that's cool. Yeah. Cool. Right on. Well, we got sidetracked to get on the drift boats, but. Well, I guess we'll take it out of here, and let's just do the 222 and take us out of here. I mean, you mentioned some tips and flies and stuff, but if we had to narrow this down, again, maybe we'll just keep it on the streamer fishing. If you talk, 2 tips you want to throw. Would you rather throw out 2 tips on streamer fishing or two fly tying tips?
Ooh.
What's easier? What do you think would be easier to, or what do you think would be the most value to leave somebody with that's listening?
Wow, that's a really good question. Probably on the fishing side of things.
Okay.
That would probably be the easiest way to do.
So let's take it. So like we said, we got everybody lined up. They got their cord and line, they got their rod, they got their flies, and they're going out there and they're getting ready to make a cast. What sort of tips would you give them for the day, or a couple of tips?
In all seriousness, I think I know the best tip that I can give is even before you start to make a cast or anything for the day. It's typically your state of mind whenever you get to the river and your game plan and stuff like that. This is work. Streamer fishing it's work, no matter how you look at it. But put your head down and keep making casts. I've seen this happen on the first cast of the day. And I've seen it happen on the last cast of the day, where somebody caught the biggest fish of their life. So, and again, then it can happen anywhere in between. But if you sit there and watch the fly swim back, and you start getting bored, and you stop paying attention and stuff like that, you're not going to fish the fly as effectively as you normally would. So, the biggest tip, hands down, that I can give people is, keep making those casts. Keep your mind in the game. If it's switching the color of the fly just to make you feel better, to bring you back in, then that is the greatest thing you can do. Is keep yourself engaged, and keep your head down and keep going. Just keep grinding.
Do you switch? Kelly mentions he switches between 5 or 7 colors. Are you switching every 5 minutes?
No, I'm exactly the opposite.
Okay.
I'm of the mind frame that like I said, we're not patterning these fish. In all seriousness, we're trying to piss these fish off. We're not trying to be nice to them and try to feed them nicely. We're trying to make them mad and get them, going. So it just takes one cast, and I've seen it happen on the craziest time. I had one fish. This actually may be like the best thing I can do right now. Okay, let's do this. Um, I had a fisherman that taught me more in one sentence than I learned like in a year of streamer fishing on my own. Um, he had this horrible fly on. It wasn't this beautiful thing that was, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But he made the cast, and this fish blew up behind us on the other side of the boat. So he turns around, throws a fly over there, hangs the fish, proceeds to land this 26-inch brown.
Hmm.
Um, and he looks at me and he said, "Man, that fish would have eaten a Snickers bar if I threw it over
Yeah.
there." And it would have done something to a Snickers bar. I promise you. If a Snickers bar would have landed in the water, there would be teeth marks on a Snickers bar.
No kidding.
So you will never get me to believe that this is something that, constantly switching flies and constantly doing that stuff is going to help you that much. We're
Yeah.
not looking for numbers. We're looking for that one fish that's ready to eat whatever comes into its zone.
Gotcha.
And I'm actually I'm working on a video of this because we talked about earlier for flymen. I did like some saltwater stuff and stuff like this. I tied a pink squid fly. I'm gonna take a pink squid fly fishing for brown trout just to prove that it doesn't matter.
There you go.
And I'm gonna catch fish. So yeah.
And are you going to video? Are you going to get that on video?
Oh, I'll definitely do a video of that.
Nice. All right. Go. And so let's just keep going on this. So we got, so how about a couple flies? You got 2 flies. You can take 2 streamers. What are those 2 flies?
Oh, I'm going to go 2 swim flies. I'm going to definitely have the knucklehead. I know that's the painfully obvious one.
Yep.
But it's a smaller form factor. The colors are great, and I know it's going to swim exactly the way I want it to swim. But then I'm going to take a pattern that one of my buddies, his name's Steve Daly. He guides on the White River. He's a Tasmanian guy. He's got a funky accent. He designs great flies that he calls, going back to these crazy names, he calls the lap dancer.
Yep.
Yep. It's a head heavy fly that is going to get down a little deeper, a little quicker. So I've got 2 different zones covered. I've got the swim fly zone covered where I'm going to get where I need to be with the line, and then I've got a head heavy fly that is going to get down in those deeper zones where I really need to get super deep.
Perfect. And what about a couple resources? Anything else? We talked about a few different people on here. Where would you send somebody if they wanted to go deeper into streamers, either fly tying or fishing?
Ooh.
I mean, I don't know if there's like it could be book, magazine, resource, YouTube channel, anything you think of.
Ooh. Well, there are tons of YouTube channels.
Yeah, there are. What are the top? What you do is obviously pretty unique. What are the other top? What would be your what are you watching when you're not watching your own for streamers?
Oh, nice. If I'm going to sit down and watch YouTube tying videos or fishing videos or anything like that, one of my big go-tos is Gunnar Brammer.
Yeah, Gunnar. Yeah.
That dude, he has a really cool sense about how he designs flies. And how he fishes them too.
Yeah,
he's a great guy. The Fly Fish Food guys are really great and still entertaining too. Yeah. I have to be entertained. But then you get over like to the European guys.
Oh, right.
And I'm not going to be able to pronounce the name of the YouTube channel. I know I'm not, but Andreas Sanderson ties a bunch on their stuff and stuff like that. Those guys are on a different level when it comes to fly, especially fly colors, like color schemes on flies. They put together colors like I have never seen. It's just amazing. But then, in all seriousness, gear guys. Mm-hmm. Watch some gear guys. Like there's a guy that designs baits, like gear baits. His name's Marling. It's called Marling Baits. And he designs like some crazy stuff, and then he designs some other stuff because we can learn a lot from gear guys, like
Yeah.
so much from gear guys. So don't just get too much into like only fly,
Mm-hmm.
because you can learn like um, swim bait design and how you can get a fly to swim like that. If you can kind of put things together, pay attention to gear guys. Marley Bates is he's man, that guy's awesome. And I just watched him make a bass lure that was a block of wood just to
Oh,
prove that you
wow.
can catch a fish with anything. It was just a block of wood.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, so it's entertaining too. I have to be entertained. If
Yeah,
I'm not entertained, I get,
exactly.
so
Right on, Brian. Well, if anybody here wants to be entertained, they can head over to Fly Fishing the Ozarks, so your YouTube channel, or go to your website, and they can find you there.
yep, that's it.
All right, man. Hey, thanks for coming on the chat. I think we covered a little bit of everything here and gave everybody a taste of what you do. So yeah, I'm sure they'll be connecting with you if somebody has a question or wants to dig in a little deeper. So appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom. So there you go. If you want to find all of the show notes, all the links we covered, just go to wetflyswing.com/157. If you'd like to support the podcast and add a small contribution to help keep the lights on here, you can head over to wetflyswing.com/members and join the Wetfly Swing Member Society. That would be amazing if you could check that out today. And now I'd like to take a moment and share a poem read by Josh Clausen. And this is coming from the current fall edition of the Fly Fishing and Tying Journal. So Josh, take it away.
For the Brook Trout by Greg Keeler. You live hard in the backwaters and eddies where your flesh turns like coal into diamond and you burn orange up the flare of your fins for your own reason. The tracks stunning your back into dark marble and where we would go in sleep if dream were water. Since it's not, we rely on you to show us the way east. When you find size in still waters, 4 pounds draped over a purist's hand, it leaves no choice. Plato was wrong, all of the West was wrong. This living shadow burns, has weight.
There you go. That poem was written by Greg Keeler and read by our own Josh Clausen. Thanks, Josh. Appreciate you taking the time to do that. You can find more of Greg Keeler's work in his book, Trash Fish, or get the fall edition of the Fly Fishing and Tying Journal. That's ftjangler.com. We appreciate FTJ as a sponsor as well. You can also connect with Josh again at the Member Society, wetflyswing.com/members. You can actually try a free week over there. I believe we got that going. You can kick the tires and say hi to the community over there and see if there's some people, see where everybody's coming from. Too many amazing, great people and not enough time in the day. That seems to be the problem always. I'm happy you are here with me and still listening here at the end of this show. If you ever have questions, feedback, or anything, you can send me an email directly, dave@wetflyswing.com, or just send me a DM on social at wetflyswing. Facebook, where we're kind of we're all over the place. So let me know if we're missing anything, how it's going, and would love to connect with you if we haven't yet. Wanted to thank you again today and look forward to catching you soon on the next episode. Maybe even seeing you on the river or online. Tim, I'm going to get on the river, buddy. It's coming. Hopefully we made it happen. All right, out of here. See you guys.